This is Mike Roth on Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. This season, we're going to be changing the name of the podcast because we are increasing our emphasis on activities and health for seniors over 55 years of age.
Welcome to Season 8 of Villages Vitality Life, Seniors Life Unscripted. Our podcast used to be called Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. In this new season, we talk to leaders of clubs and interesting folks who live in and around the villages. We also talk to people who have information vital to seniors. You will get perspectives of what is happening in and around the Villages, Florida. In addition, in this new season, we will add more information for all seniors. We are a listener-supported podcast.
This is Mike Roth on Villages Vitality Life, Seniors Life Unscripted. Joining me today is Paige Golden. Thanks for joining me, Paige.
Thank you, Mike, for having me as your guest.
Good. Let me give you a background on Paige. Paige is a former book publicist who turned medical sales professional, who turned humorist. She's a storyteller and an advocate for HPV, that's human papillomavirus, and cancer awareness, gastrointestinal disorders, and the art of storytelling. And lastly, the dastardly truth about employer-paid long-term disability insurance. Paige is an anal cancer survivor of 10 years with a passion to inform and entertain the public on the how-tos of avoiding her plight. She uses humor to sanitize topics that most people will shy away from. Again, Paige, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And great on beating cancer for 10 years.
Thank you.
Now, anal cancer must be a difficult diagnosis to accept. How common is it, and are there any precautions that people should take to avoid it?
Yes, you're correct. It is a rare cancer. However, it has been increasing. And I had never heard of it until the iconic actress Farrah Fawcett did a press conference years ago. I'm sitting in my sister's kitchen, and she comes out and she says that she has anal cancer and that she was cured, but she also starts informing the public about HPV. At that time, my sister said, I can't imagine saying you had anal cancer. I would just say I had rectal cancer. And I said, having a career in women's health and speaking to doctors every day about women's health, I don't think it would be that difficult for me. And when you tell one lie, you end up telling a lot more, and secrets are very painful to keep. However, when it did happen to me, it was much harder than I thought it would be. There's just there's an embarrassment about it. I can't believe this is me. I can't believe this is my life. But there are ways that people can avoid it. And HPV causes cancers, oropharyngeal, oral cancer. It also causes anal cancer, cervical cancer. But my message is, if you speak, eat, swallow, pee, poop, or screw, you do not want this. And there is a proven vaccine that's been around since 2006 that has proven statistically to reduce these cancers.
How effective is the HPV vaccine?
What they do is they look retrospectively at how the numbers have come down. So when it first started out, it only covered a few strains, and it was only for girls. Then they expanded it to boys. Now it's been approved for patients up to 45 years of age. And the reason they cut it off at 45 is they believe that people have probably already been exposed to HPV at that age. So if you do feel you're at risk, you can talk to your doctor and you can get it. But I would just want to say a little bit about vaccines because of all the controversy about vaccines, and they're not all created equal. One afternoon, there were a couple of lab rats that were hanging out one day, and one lab rat says to his buddy, "Hey, are you going to get that COVID vaccine?" And his buddy says, "Nah, I figure I'll wait till after the human trials." You can feel very confident in that this has been around, but I encourage everyone to be their own advocate. Vaccines, no vaccine is for everyone. So look into it, ask ChatGPT, is this right for me? And I hope that this message reaches a lot of people because it is something that you can prevent. although 10% of it is considered not to be HPV related. So it doesn't cover it completely, but 90% is a pretty big percentage.
That's excellent. That's excellent. How did you get the idea to combine humor and anal cancer?
As a result of the side effects of the radiation that I had, I lost my career. I was a medical sales representative, and I did quite a bit of traveling. And if there's not a bathroom very close by, the urgency is an issue. So I lost my job. I was very embarrassed to tell people what happened to me, but I came up with a story when people asked, and I would say, it's pretty early in the morning right now, but if you get between the bathroom door over there and me, I will run you over like a Crimson Tide linebacker. And this usually causes a chuckle or somebody shares a commiserating story. However, this one woman said to me, oh, that happened to me on a date. And I wrote a poem about it. So I said, oh, I would love to hear the poem. So she pulls up her phone and she says, had a date today, and I sharted on the way. It wasn't until I stood up that I said, oh, fuck, this can't be real, the way my panties feel. Luckily, I had a spare extra pants and underwear, and my date had not a clue of the shit I sported too. I can't tell you the hilarity I felt over hearing this and the fact that somebody could laugh at themselves. And this woman did not even have IBS. She didn't have colitis. She just really enjoys life and has an artistic flair. And I asked her if I could borrow that, if she would give it to me, because I had an idea to do something bigger. I had no idea that short stories are actually a thing. There are competitions on Reddit. There's anonymous short stories. They have to be first person, something that happened, that it has to embrace humility. And it's funny to read about other people's embarrassing experiences.
Yeah.
So I thought, for those fortunate enough not to know the word shart, it is a combination of the word fart and shit. And this is apparently a thing, but I thought somebody should monetize this for the causes that people really suffer from and deal with every day.
Now, how does this relate to the restroom access bill?
Oh, that is a bill that is currently, it was presented by the woman, the representative from D.C., and I would encourage people to contact their congressman or their senator about passing this bill forward. Now, there are already several bathroom access cards available in states, and this is a card that you can show that you have an issue, you have some reason to get grant access to a bathroom that is not normally public, that it's a private bathroom. And you can contact your congressman or senator about that as well. Florida, the state that we're in, does not have that available, but it is currently in 20 states.
That's a lot of states, 20
Yes.
out of 50.
Yes.
Not enough, but
Yes. So I would love to see security in airports making it more available. Concerts are also a big problem for people. There are so many places where it's very difficult. There's also an app, Be Free or something. I can't remember the name of the app, but there's an app that will show you where the closest public bathroom is.
right, there are several apps like
Yes.
that. Now, have you contacted Daniel Webster, our congressman, about the bill?
I have not done that yet. I'm so glad that you asked me, and I will, but I just looked this up for who to contact for this podcast.
Okay, good. So everyone out there, write to your congressman, ask them to have the bathroom access bill move forward. Now, how do you go about establishing yourself as an advocate for people who have had anal cancer?
No, I like that question because I wanted to do something. And I started small I wrote a letter to the editor of the New York Times, and a woman had written a book about sex in the wake of cancer. And I wrote just a few sentences. I didn't agree with what she said. I think that people have to accept what they cannot change. And it's a difficult thing to accept, but that was the first thing I did. And it ended up being editor's third pick choice, and it ran for 10 days.
Really?
Really?
Yes. And after that, I entered a storytelling contest, and there's a Central Florida storytelling group association that I would encourage people to get involved with. And I went to a public library, and I told a story, and it was about anal cancer. And they give you a name, and they named my story The Perks of Anal Cancer. And they asked if I would record it for an NPR section in South Florida. And it was funny because I really did like the title, But people just freak out over the word anal. So they ended up changing the title entirely so that people didn't know that it was necessarily about anal cancer.
What did they change the title to?
They changed it to, one of the characters in it I called More Than a Date and Less Than a Boyfriend. And it was about him getting drunk, and I was wearing a wig, and we were on a cruise, and this woman asked him to move, and we'd already moved several times, and he said no. She came over and asked me to get him to move, and I said, he's not going to move. So then she asked me, what is going on with that headband? And I had a headband on to hold my wig on. So I lifted my headband up.
Mm-hmm.
I lifted the wig over my head, and she was just absolutely mortified. She was being really rude, but I put her in her place. That was what the story was about.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. What have you done here in the Villages to move the cause forward?
Oh, I took a class. I'm so impressed with the Enrichment Academy. They offer so many things from sports to academics. There's so much talent in the Villages. And I felt I hadn't worked in a while. I wanted to learn more about AI. And I also took a brush up on Windows. And that's how I met you, Mike. Mike is the teacher of this class. And I learned so much, and I had this big project going on. So I hired you as a consultant, and I hired you for 2 hours. And then I had Mike come back 2 weeks later to do more. I was overwhelmed at all the information you gave me and all the different ways that I could use AI, because I originally just wanted to create a character called Shardy, and I wrote a short story about Shardy, and we did that. But he also had me showed me how to run my own editing, what ideas I could get from running it through. My stuff is very personal, so it's not like AI can write my story, but they can give you ideas that I didn't know about. I didn't know what doom scrolling is about, how when you are first diagnosed with something, how you end up finding all the worst case scenarios. And that's called doom scrolling. So that was one of the edits they made of my work.
Yeah, AI can do some wonderful things, but it is not a human, and it is certainly not a therapist, proven many times. In planning your goal to make awareness and people seeking vaccines more successful, what else are you doing?
Right now, I'm in the process of starting a foundation, and I'm naming it Sanitizing the Hopelessly Unsanitary. And I have several goals that I want to inform the public about. One, of course, you mentioned. Also, the disability insurance that is employer paid. I don't want that to happen to other people. I have a number, but I think my overall mission is to normalize the shame associated with so many gastrointestinal disorders.
And you purchased a name for your domain on the web?
Yes, I did. Yes. So I plan to recruit stories from people, and the name of a book will be Butt of the Joke. So I did purchase the domain Butt of the Joke, and I'm planning on starting on Facebook, and I will have that, and I will ask people to donate their stories, but I want to wait until I get the 501c3, all of my paperwork in order, because I don't want people to think I'm taking advantage of their talent. I want them to realize that it's going to be going to a good cause. And I look at it very much like the old-fashioned cookbook fundraiser for your church. People are going to donate a recipe. I'm going to ask people to donate their stories. And there are so many talented storytellers. And there's a joy in writing, and there's a joy in being creative. And I think that I want to encourage people to get involved in these storytelling competitions. I think there's just so much that they have to offer people.
Good. Thanks, Paige, and for sharing that. We're going to be right back after a short Alzheimer's tip from Dr. Curtis.
When we talk about the causes of heart attacks and strokes and peripheral vascular disease, we all know about things such as diabetes, smoking, and poor diet choices. Those are all called modifiable risk factors. You can change those and you can lower your risk. And then if we talk about non-modifiable risk factors, things you cannot change, there's a cholesterol that has been labeled the ghost cholesterol.
I've heard of good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. Now I have to worry about a ghost cholesterol?
That's right. There's a cholesterol known as lipoprotein A. That cholesterol has been known about for a long time. However, scientists over the last decade have discovered that this is one of the major risk factors for heart disease, cardiovascular disease, cerebral vascular disease such as strokes, and peripheral vascular disease such as problems in the legs. And what they've discovered is that this is a genetically linked lipoprotein. What that means is it runs in families. And unfortunately, we've had no way to modify this.
To learn more, visit his website, craigcurtismd.com, or call 352-500-5252 to attend a free seminar.
Thank you, Dr. Curtis. Paige, let's continue the conversation and talk a little bit about this little piece that you've written for your character, Shardy. Tell our audience about that.
I believe it or not, it takes a lot of guts to be the face of fecal incontinence. And I did not want to be that. So I thought I'll create a character and make a story around this character. And I felt that it would be very difficult to laugh at someone going through all the things she went through. So I created her to be very much like Jessica Rabbit, a cartoon character in a human world. And there are a number of other characters in this story. It's not a long story, but it introduces the other characters. It introduces the people that are going to be writing their stories. And I've had people that I know that have written some pretty entertaining stories and poetry. So now that is one thing that has not been done. So we're going to do short poetry as well as stories. And short is good. I haven't received any haikus, but I think there could be some really good haikus about this too.
Okay. Many of our listeners don't know what a haiku is.
Oh, it's a Japanese poem. And I believe, is it like 7 syllables, 5 syllables, and 7 or something of that nature? But you do it so many syllables.
3 lines.
Three
3
lines.
lines, 5 syllables in the first line and 7 in the second line and then 5 in the third.
I don't know about this. Perhaps you could write one.
If you absolutely ask me to write one, Paige, what I would do is turn to my favorite AI.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, 2 of them, and ask 2 of them to write the haiku.
I want you to give them a personal story and make something personal to make it from, because...
I have to give them a personal story, give them a subject.
Yes, but you bring up a good point, because a lot of people ask me, are these stories, or did people make them up or not? It would be very hard to fact check these stories. So I'm just looking for very good stories. And
they have to be fart checked.
Yeah, that would be very difficult also. But I love the fact that people can laugh at themselves and encourage that.
Good. Let's talk for a second or two, maybe a little bit longer than that, about disability insurance paid for by people's employers, because that's a subject that has been brushed under the carpet and given a gold star to, because employers are offering company-paid disability insurance and what that really means. You were in a internationally known drug company, and they gave you disability insurance for 2 years. And what did that really mean?
It was called a long-term disability insurance. However, it is very common, I did not know this, it is very common for them to only pay for 2 years, stop paying you completely, or to pay you significantly less. Also, what I think people don't realize, that it will be taxed as income, all of it. Now, conversely, private disability insurance is not taxed. Also, it will cover your position, your education. I'll give you an example. One of my friends is a doctor who's on disability, and his covers for him being a doctor. Okay,
because he paid for it himself.
He paid for it himself, but also his policy states this.
Bought disability insurance when I was a business owner for myself personally.
Yes.
Okay, because in my business, if I wasn't there, there was no business.
Yes. It's very important that people understand that it goes to, in my situation, it went from the position that I held to any position. So also, what it does is it says that it'll give you 60% of your income. So I had a salary that was well under what I was paid.
But so it didn't include your commissions and bonuses?
It did not come in any of the perks that went along. It was strictly my salary. And my salary at the time was $85,000. And so when you look at the percentage, that brought it down to $55,000. Then you are going to be dogged by this insurance company. So you will have to hire an attorney. And and the attorney is going to get 33% of that figure. And that money that you pay the lawyer is not tax deductible. So you're going to be paying taxes on the money that you're paying the attorney as well. So that brought my income down to $37,000. Then you're also going to be taxed on, when you're taxed on all of that, it brought my income down to $29,000.
From over 85.
I was making $150 if you combine all of the perks that I had in my commission. I just encourage people to be aware, because nobody looks at what the policy says from their company. They just don't. And people learn from firsthand experience. And I realize that a lot of this population that I'm speaking to in the villages are not working, but they have children that are working, and their children really need to understand all of this. And I hope that they will spread this word to their children.
Yeah, this long-term disability is a serious concern. It's an expensive policy to buy, believe me.
Yes, it is.
Because I bought it.
It's worth it, though.
And if you have an incident that knocks you out of the workforce.
And nobody thinks that's going to happen.
Not to me. At 21, I didn't believe it was going to happen to me.
Yeah.
I bought life insurance when I was 21. Not because I was concerned with my family at the time, not because I was concerned with me, but I figured that if I buy the life insurance, I'll never need it. I'll live forever.
Yes, that's how it works.
In fact, early in my working career, I was offered cancer insurance as a company-paid benefit. Seemed like a good idea to me. If I buy the insurance, I'll never get cancer.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
After I left that company, they offered me to buy the policy on an individual basis, which I continued for many years. And then I figured, hey, cancer didn't kill me early, so I dropped it.
Yes, I would consider employer-paid long-term disability to be a supplement, and a weak one at that.
A weak one.
Yes.
So all of us people who are retired who are listening, tell your children about this.
Please.
Okay, especially if they're working for a large corporation that gives them what looks like phenomenal benefit package. I go back and think about it. All the times I was working for large companies like divisions of IBM, they had these insurances. I never got a copy of the policy. I never read it.
Nobody does. They have a website that you're supposed to go to and look, and I can't imagine anyone reading their own insurance policy, really, of any kind. You assume what you're getting, and you need to double check and triple check.
That's really important. So, Paige, if someone wanted to get in touch with you about turning a poem in or a story about anal cancer or gastrointestinal cancer of any type, how would they do that?
I would ask them to contact you to contact me, because I have not put in place the Facebook things as of yet. But right now, I just have my personal information, and I'm waiting to get that together.
Yeah, if you want to be contacted by Paige too, talk about any gastrointestinal cancer, or maybe even about employer-paid disability insurance, you can contact me, Mike at rothvoice.com. At the top of the page, if you're listening to this on Buzzsprout, you'll see a box or a link that you can click called Fan Mail. On the Fan Mail link, provide your name, phone number, email, and whatever comments you want me to pass on to Paige, and I'll be more than happy to do that.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that so much.
Good. Paige, is there anything that we have left out that you want to include in this show for people?
When something really bad happens to you, generally there are some gifts and good things that come out of it. And I lost my career. I lost well over $1 million in unearned income. And I have to say that I have enjoyed doing this advocacy work. And if I can really make a difference, it will be far more satisfying than any sale I could have ever made.
Paige, can you look back on your own life, knowing what you know today, go back to when you were 21 or 22. If you were going to give your 21 or 22-year-old Paige some advice, what advice would that be?
Don't worry if your career takes a very unusual trajectory. Mm-hmm. You'll get through it.
Good. Thanks for being with us today, Paige.
Thank you for reminding me to contact Congressman Daniel Webster here in Sumter County about supporting the bathroom access bill. And thank you for having me on your show and allowing me to spread the word about HPV, normalizing shame, and dastardly insurance practices.
Remember, our next episode will be released next Friday at 9 a.m. Should you want to become a major supporter of the show or have questions, please contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. This is a shout-out for supporters Tweet Coleman, Ed Williams, Dwayne Romick, Paul Sorgan, and Dr. Craig Curtis at K2 in the Villages. We will be hearing more from Dr. Curtis with short Alzheimer's tips each week. If you know someone who should be on the show, contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. The way our show grows is with your help. Text your friends about this show if you enjoyed listening. Use the fan mail button on our homepage, villagesvitality.life, to leave comments. Be sure to include your name, email, and phone number. We thank everyone for listening. The content of the show is copyrighted by Roth Voice 2026, all rights reserved.